And we'll start off with the consideration of the approval of the agenda.
So
Second.
We'll call the roll.
Noah.
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Next up, we have the consideration of approval of the minutes of the August 27th, September 3rd, September 8th, and September 10th meetings. Any questions on any of those minutes?
Move to approve.
second.
Any other comments on the minutes? Clerk will call the roll.
Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Noah.
Aye.
Next, then we have the consideration of approval of the consent calendar. Any questions on the consent calendar?
So move.
Second.
Any further comments on the consent calendar? Clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Noah.
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
Under business of the mayor, we tonight have a proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month for October of 2025. And Renee is here with us. You want to come up, Renee, and just kind of tell us what you got going? Introduce yourself to the group.
Hello, everyone. My name is Renee Harris. I work with Crisis Intervention Service and I'm the domestic abuse advocate that services Floyd County along with Butler, Mitchell, and Grundy County. I brought a proclamation again, with the council and the mayor to see about getting that signed for awareness of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Proclamation is a little bit different this year. It's got a little bit different wording. I tried to make it different because I've come back so many years to you guys and I'm sure it's getting a little bit old, maybe, I don't know. So we tried to spice it up, but it's got a little bit more information, the number of adults and children who've lost their lives to domestic violence since 95 has one up. So you'll see that when the proclamation is read. October 16th is a Wear Purple Day. The water tower will be lit. Some Facebook posts about that, so please join us in wearing purple. Bring awareness for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I've also got in touch with Hy-Vee about their lighting on purple. They said that they would do that. I'm not sure if it'll be up for the whole month or not, but they said that they'd love to participate in that. I've reached out to the football field as well, the Charles City High School football field. So I hope that they will also like the football field purple. Among other things that I do, I'll be doing proclamations here, but in all the other counties that I do, whether I come and see the city councils or I go to the board of supervisors. There's also some other events that I do, like Remember My Name. That will be October 3rd. If none of you have heard of Remember My Name, it's an event that honors the Iowans that have lost their lives to domestic violence. It'll be at the library on October 3rd from 12 to 1 p.m. in Mason City, and lunch will be provided. It was a really moving event for me that I first went to. When I was an advocate here, I didn't know half the stories, half the people, so I'm really glad I got to hear some of those things. I also am a board member of Veterans Stand Down, Operation Golden Hawk. Stand Down is going to be in Mason City at the fairgrounds, September 27th, and I did bring a flyer. If anybody knows any veterans or family, they're more than welcome to attend that. And yeah, that's what I have for you so far. Anyone have any question?
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Renee?
No, I appreciate everything you do, and it was a pleasure to work out with you at the mobile food pantry.
Yeah,
A month or so ago, so thank you for what you do, but also investing your free time back in the community as well.
Yep. I love doing things like that, so
Yep.
I was really happy to be there.
Move to approve the proclamation.
Second.
We'll call the roll.
Pittman.
Aye.
Noah.
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Come on and we'll read the proclamation. So whereas home should be a sanctuary, a place of warmth, unconditional love, peace, and safety, For many, home and family are among life's greatest blessings. Yet tragically, for far too many in our community, these blessings are overshadowed by violence and fear. And whereas domestic violence is not a private matter or a monetary conflict, it is a pervasive and devastating crime that affects individuals of every race, ethnicity, age, ability, socioeconomic status, religion, and gender. And whereas domestic violence shatters lives by violating a person's dignity, privacy, and humanity through the systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and emotional abuse. And whereas since 1995, more than 405 adults and children have lost their lives to domestic violence in Iowa. And in the past year alone, 1,023 survivors impacted by domestic violence sought help from victim services across 15 counties in north central Iowa. 113 of those survivors were in Floyd County and 80 resided in Charles City, demonstrating the ongoing and urgent need for support and intervention. And whereas children who grow up in homes marked by violence, these face increased risks of abuse and neglect, with more than 4 million children in the United States exposed to domestic violence each year. And whereas the societal cost of domestic violence exceeds $5 billion annually, including medical care, law enforcement, legal proceedings, shelters, foster care, lost productivity, and absenteeism. And whereas ending domestic violence requires a united and sustained community response, we must confront this crisis not only during October, but every day of the year in our homes, neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, and places of worship. And whereas a coalition of dedicated organizations and individuals, including law enforcement, victim advocates, healthcare providers, faith leaders, and concerned citizens are working tirelessly to support survivors and prevent abuse. Their compassion and commitment deserve our recognition, our gratitude, and our continued support. Now therefore, I, Dean Andrews, Mayor of Charles City, do hereby proclaim October 2025 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and urge all citizens of Charles City to observe this month by learning about the impact of domestic violence, supporting survivors, honoring those we have lost, and participating in efforts to build a safer, more compassionate community. So I know, Renee, like you say, you've been here more than once, and unfortunately, we'd like to not see you as often, but this is a problem that's gonna be an ongoing problem. And so the work that you and your groups do is trying to keep that to a minimum, and we appreciate all the things you do to make our community a safer place. So thank you.
Thank you.
Fine, do it from the waist up. Stand like that.
Somebody would gladly take a photo from me. You got it. Yep. Would you do it? Does the whole, everybody want
This wall always seems to be our background, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone has a good evening.
Thank you, you too, Renee.
Next up, then we'll have a public hearing, and this is concerning a proposed change in zoning classification from a parcel in Charles City from R2 medium density residential to M1 light manufacturing district. And we have the affidavit of publication. And we received any written comments?
No.
How about any oral comments tonight?
Move to close.
Silent.
We'll call the roll.
Noah,
Aye.
Longley,
Aye.
Friesman,
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
So John, do you want us to kind of bring us up to date on this? We've talked about this before, but go ahead.
Sure, so just in summary, this is this parcel that we're talking about, this is well, this is the horseshoe pits there by it's that long, narrow parcel between Shaw Avenue and the Charlie Western Trail from Clark Street down to the gate to the Shaw brush disposal site. And it's currently zoned R2. And because of the EPA, they're concerned that it's zoned R2. They want it zoned as something that cannot accommodate dwellings, residential dwellings. And so that's our M district, so we're recommending M1. And this has been for P and Z and is coming to the council with unanimous recommendation to change the zoning.
Thanks,
So you
John.
held the public hearing, so we're recommending the first reading of ordinance 1194.
Right. Any questions for John?
It's a good thing to get cleaned up. I move to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion?
I appreciate the good follow-up article from the press, clarified a lot of the comments that I had received about exactly where this was. And the guidelines, the recommendation from the EPA, so once again, it's misinterpreted by many as citizens as I think that the last article clarified that a lot. I didn't get any more phone calls from that.
Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman,
I,
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton,
Are you muted, Phil?
You said it.
Doug,
There he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you, are you, is that an aye?
Noah,
Aye.
We still can't hear you though.
I always feel like when I have to join Zoom on my phone, that I don't know what I'm doing because it's all different.
There
Can you
go.
hear
Looks
me
like you're
now?
on- Oh, there you go. We're good. But did you
That
vote
was an
aye on
aye.
that?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, thank you. Thank you very much. So motion passed, so we will now have the first reading of ordinance 1194.
ordinance number 1194, an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Charles City, Iowa. Change the classification of a parcel of real estate owned by the City of Charles City, Iowa from R-2 medium density residential district to M-1 light manufacturing district.
Thank you. Next up, then we have, a street closure request. This is for the annual spook walk on October 27th. This is an event that's been going on for over 20 years, I think, so.
it's 30.
Thought it was
30,
What was it?
longest running Main Street event or chamber event they have.
Same area that's been closed in the past, from what I could recall anyway. I'd so move.
Second.
Any other comments? Call the roll.
Friesman,
Aye.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Noah, Lumley.
Aye.
Right. Next up, we're gonna have Dan come up, tell us about the pump number 3 rebuild, and then while you're up there, you can also talk about the.
Good evening, everybody. So, yeah, I come to you tonight because, we inspect our pumps every year. Last year, we had electric pump do it. This year, we did it ourselves. We kind of swap it every other year. We have the pros come in and really check it out. And the pump has shown a little bit of wear throughout the years. But this year, when we checked the oil, there was no oil in the pump. And, so, we called them and they recommended bringing it in. It's been since 2005, this has, been a really long run for this pump, no other of the 4 have done what this one has done, so. Just said I'm tired and, here we go. What I would like to ask folks is, I do have other stuff I would like to do with my budget, so I guess I'd like to ask to approve to repair the pump. But then to re-budget for the repair throughout the year.
Have you gotten any word, Dan, it says in here that you'd asked for a quote on a new one, have you gotten anything?
I
on
have
that yet?
not, I have not. It would be high.
Okay, how much life do you anticipate if we rebuild it?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
They're industrial built, so I mean, as long as we can keep getting parts.
Yeah.
They're rebuildable. Obviously, this one, after so many rebuilds, you do wanna probably look at the new ones, but. I would recommend rebuilding it, versus the cost.
Has this one been rebuilt before?
And I did bring it was 2005, so like right at startup, there was an issue with it. So whatever it was very light,
At the very beginning?
yeah. Yeah, cause they were probably started up in '04.
So my question on this is, so it's not budgeted for, what, do we know where your reserve is?
So we looking 5,
What?
what, our reserve of what, 5?
We looked it up the other day. Right now it's at 652. I think the end of the fiscal year is at 500 and something, I
Okay.
believe was the reserve.
Hmm.
So,
So for me though, from a cost analysis perspective, knowing we have age on the other ends. From your viewpoint, does it make sense to rebuild this one? With the age of the other ones, or to spend the money if we have in reserve to get the new one and use that one as spare parts?
If we were gonna go that far. These pumps are built. To pump more than what they really need to. Cause of the bio tower, the head that it had to pump up to. You're looking into, you probably go maybe engineer. Flange it after, so you could size the pump down, but you'd also have IV EFB. So that's possible,
So additional costs associated
there would be,
beyond just a new.
you'd have engineering looking at it and, yeah. The other pump, the good thing is 2019 is the next age of the oldest. From the rebuild.
Yeah.
So, and they are working, not as hard as what they used to, so. It's with the pumps, you never know.
Right.
Did we just do a couple of these just a couple of years ago?
Yep.
That's what I was saying. About 2 years ago? 3, we did 2 at the same time, didn't we?
I had it somewhere.
Sticks in my
I must have
mind,
left it in the office, which I did.
I mean, roughly it's about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that we did 2 of them at the same time.
There was like 1 year between
In
them.
1 year before,
Yeah.
okay. I just remembered it was close, so.
One of the 4 is 2014, so. About 10 years newer. I was looking at the piping today, let's just say you went to 3 pumps. Probably not a good idea. You'd have to change one of the pumps from where it's at now to where this pump was pulled because of the valving. To change valving if you had to use it for a backup. But you have to waste, and you have to recycle, so. Water comes into clarifiers, you pump it back without, you fill your clarifiers and will. Be pretty devastating.
How long would the repair take?
It all depends on parts. Our last one for 11th Street, we just sent in, it was probably. We waited for a color, it was probably 2.5 months. I don't know, if you. Just so you know, my other expenses that's why I'm asking is, I have it pre-approved to fix Hart Street. Piping, it's, falling apart. and fix 11th Street, there's a pipe that needs repaired. And then we also have a blower that's starting to leak oil pretty good, so
Stuff wears out, doesn't it?
I know.
But you feel pretty confident that a rebuild on this will be serviceable, given that the last rebuild lasted, what, 20 years since it was rebuilt?
Yes, and they are flight rep. They do a very good job. We have not had issues after the repairs.
And you rotate them weekly, so you use 2 out of the 4 each week, so
Yeah.
basically they're just in service like half of the year essentially. So that's gonna extend their life as well, I would assume.
Well, it seems like that's been a good plan for the city for a long time.
Mhm.
I guess I'd go to approve the
Second.
repairs Dan is outlined.
Any other questions, Dan? Clerk will call the roll.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton. I
read
saw his
that.
eyes.
I saw that.
Noah. Aye. Lonely.
Aye.
Crazy.
Aye.
So Brad, on the agenda, it says discussion, doesn't say anything about action.
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, we're,
It'll be on the next agenda for technical official action.
That's fine.
we're not necessarily required to list whether it's an action item or not, we just have to provide reasonable notice of what the council is gonna discuss and consider, so.
So we're okay taking.
Yeah, I think this is sufficient action tonight to move forward with the quote that Dan provided.
All right, thank you. That's why we got you here, Brad. Item number 2, Dan.
It is. Our grinder diminutor is the name for it. It's in the influence channel. It serves as the purpose of the old bar screen. It keeps part or pieces small, so any blockage does not happen in the pumps that are main lift pumps that lift it up to the headworks and then into the ditch. And so we're had a 3-inch rain. Usually we have it in our SOP to pull it. We found last damage, we were like, okay, we have to pull this at any flood event. This so happens, it was a rain event. And it washed in a few rocks and a liner cutout. Liner cutout's probably like yay size, yay thick, it's pretty. It kicked it off, the amps, it overamp, kicked it off, we got it restarted. And it kicked off again, so we just shut it off and we have to have the street department come out. We do not have a hoist for the unit, and so they helped us pull that out. It does a great job. There's just certain things that can come down the line that put a hard on it. Long term, I'd like to engineer, I'd probably rather have an engineer look at it, but put in a hoist, so we don't lift it all the way out of the channel, but we lift it at any given time. We can lift it up and out of the channel. Heavy rains. Heavy rains are a hard one because they come in fast. But we could try our best so we don't have this keep happening.
Thinking that the heavy rain is what caused the heavier debris to come through
It
the lines.
does, it's in the line, and it brushes in. And the only other thing we can do as a city is when a lining is done, we make sure it's camera. Maybe the vac truck runs through the line. I'm sure they're probably supposed to do that, John. But obviously there was some cutouts in the line.
So question though, to me, this is, it's like a foreign objects coming down the line. Would this not be covered by insurance? It's no fault of our own.
I think
Considered normal wear and tear for a sewer line.
it's got flood insurance.
Yeah, there's flood insurance on it, but that doesn't cover groundwater either, has to be an official flood, or what they call groundwater,
Okay.
so. I can always check with them and see, so, won't feel like it can hurt.
But at any given time, man, anything can be coming down the line, unfortunately, right? Virtually. So I kind of like your thought of, got a pretty robust capital improvement plan, but maybe we need to think about adding, where does this sit at, next round of review with all the department heads, because this could save us money in the long run. We had that.
I really wish the lift station was a little bigger. It was hard to engineer this. If it was engineered a little different, we could open up a gate, shut a gate. With the bar screen in front of it. But it's a very tight situation. It's not awesome.
Any other questions?
No, I mean, it sounds like it needs to be taken care of, so I would move to approve the repairs. Diminutor, diminutor, right?
Either.
Piece of equipment.
It's a weird looking word there, not cleaner.
If you Google it, there's a pretty cool video of how it works on.
But it serves a critical purpose.
It does. In the notes I give you guys, we used to have to be out there in the light, heavy rains, trying to take care of the bar screen and we. Yeah, won't have to do that anymore. And this will just be for parts. We will repair it ourselves.
But if this piece of equipment had not been there, this could have ended up at the pump someplace. I would assume, and could have
Yeah,
been a lot more
Yeah,
expensive.
and it,
damage
and
to this.
it can jam up a pump.
Right.
Yes.
If there's a reason to keep those big pieces a bit further into the system.
If you had to repair it, we would.
We have, during a flood, it was actually the ice, we had a manhole break off, we had ice come in and then come in and damage the back screen.
And we do now have flood insurance on this. When I was working with FEMA, just a few days before this happened again. They said, no, you need to have flood insurance on this since we're covering the repairs to this before. So I just called insurance for flood insurance and then we're the rate event. So.
Any other comments?
I'll save the sticker shock till next year on that.
Clerk will call the roll.
Knighton,
Aye.
Noah, Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
All right,
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, guys.
next up, we have consideration of resolution 9125. This is approving pay request number 7 for the City Hall Police Department renovation project. John.
Yeah, so it's another month and another pay request. This is pay request number 7 for Kingland Construction for the City Hall project. And this month it's $271,053.92. And at this time now, with this payment, we've will have paid Kingland nearly $1.5 million. And just so big part of this payment is HVAC as well as concrete work. So Berglund and Cram, they have reviewed it. They've determined all the quantities are correct and they're recommending the council approve the payment. And we are recommending approval of resolution 9125 approving this payment.
Everything going along okay with the project so far, so.
Yes.
Slow down, Jamie.
John, I did have a question. We discussed this, I think a week ago. This ornamental handrail vendor, line item 05.05.900. Did you get any clarification? Because that 62,000 for a handrail just doesn't sit right.
Yeah, no, I don't have the information you requested. And this is a schedule of prices. I mean, it's, you know, the overall project is the same. And then they just kind of divvy it up so that we have something to pay from. So, you know, the overall project is still the same, you know, that four point something million dollars. It's just that that particular item, they just assign that amount of money to.
Was there a reason why they give it that title though? It's all lumped together. Was there a reason why they gave it that title of the ornamental handrail vendor?
That's under metals, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's
that's,
the reviews with Bergman and Cram showed we had no mention of an ornamental handrail. I mean, it looked like it's a standard handrail.
I mean, we can probably ask Dana to
Yeah.
clarify that between,
Yeah.
get an answer for you,
Okay.
Patrick.
Thank you.
Just to see what that actually means, because it probably means something other than what it looks like it
That's
means.
what I'm thinking, the same
Yeah,
thing.
so we can just contact Dana with Bergen and Cram and ask for that question.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a motion.
I would to approve.
Second.
Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Noah. Aye. Lumley.
I,
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knight.
Just
Aye.
before we move. Sorry, before we move on, is there a chance we could try to get in there and see how things are going? It's been a while. I think since anybody's been in there.
We go in every 2 weeks, but you guys would like to go in, that would be, I think, we just went in last Wednesday, so. A week from this Wednesday, 2 weeks from last Wednesday will be the next time, so I think council could probably come along.
So we'll have,
Time.
I can say we'll have to be,
The biggest
Divided
thing is
up.
that it's like about, we meet at 2:30, we would do the tour about 3 o'clock. Cause they're normally all out of there by 4.
But we can,
maybe nobody else wants to go, but I'd like
I
to.
do.
I know Phoebe has asked too.
Yeah,
before,
'cause I didn't,
so-
like, last time we tried to set it up, it
Yeah.
didn't work.
yeah, we'll ask the architect and the contractor if we can get the city council in there, because it is interesting to see. Every time, if you notice today, there's a lot of cement block out here, so that wall's gonna start going up here in the next 2 weeks. They thought that would be completed a 2-week project, so it'll be really looking different after that, so. And you won't be able to peek inside anymore, because there'll be a wall there, so, yeah, I think that's, because I said, it is very interesting to see what's going on, so.
John just mentioned too, we should probably avoid a quorum of council at one time, you avoid having to post anything, so I don't know how we split that up in a way where we don't have 3 members at one time.
yeah, we did that last time.
Yeah.
Yes, Ayla, cause you said they usually do 3 o'clock. Is when they start, like.
Yeah,
They could do a
'cause
3 and a
we meet
3
for about-
years.
Yeah. Would that work for you, Phoebe?
3:30 would be better for me,
3:30?
cause
Okay.
3 o'clock, I'm just
It
shoving.
could be the
kids out
second,
door.
could be the second shift.
Yeah,
We'll figure that out.
I could even, I mean, I could get here by 3:15, I just couldn't do 3 o'clock.
Oh, I said, y'all can't read there at 3 o'clock anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So whatever the second shift is, that would be.
Or the third shift, have to have 3 shifts since we have, I think the last time we only had 4. Now we got that 5th council person. Yeah, but we'll work on that, because like I said, I'm sure you guys would like to see
Yeah.
what's going on. Okay. And we voted on that one.
Yep, that's good. So we're on 10.
So this is resolution 9225, authorizing the railroad highway grade crossing closure between CPKC and the city of Charles City regarding Lane Street. John, do you want to start off on this one?
Sure. So I think we had a good conversation. I mean, we've been discussing this at multiple meetings, but the last planning session, we had a good follow-up discussion with everyone. So what's on the agenda tonight is actually the actual approval of the closure agreement. And after last week's planning session, we did send some comments to CPKC. basically just to tighten up the agreement with some dimensions as far as, you know, like they just talked in terms of closure. And we, just, had them put in actual dimensions. So we've gone through the incentive, 100,000 from CPKC and 100,000 from, matching from the state. And we had the, really, it's what it is, it's, as part of this, what improvements have to be done, Brackett Street, that crossing, that hump crossing will be regraded, as well as the Iowa Lane Street, the actual crossing itself is gonna have to be reconstructed because that crossing will no longer be used. And those two projects are basically 210,000 we have a cost opinion on. So the other crossings, Kellogg and E Street, those are part of the 60-20-20. Our share will be 20%. And that's both those crossings are estimated about 300,000. So, but those are they're somewhat set aside in a way from this actual crossing work. We've talked to the Connects, TNC Machine, and we are recommending that we move ahead. And we're asking the council to authorize this closure agreement through resolution 9225.
Comments, questions?
So I was the one that was against it in our special session. I'm still against it. I don't think we truly know the cost. I did review the SF 130, does state black and white as 130 is what they can provide, but I still think the city's incurring, not only is the city going to incur more cost than what had we done nothing, and yes, we could do nothing and kick the can down the road, but eventually we're gonna have to do something on this. I still don't agree with the costs. I notice here, John, that we cannot gift the property to the Connects, so yet another expense for TNC Machine that they'll have to purchase that property. Are they aware of that?
I don't, well, right then, Brad could maybe speak to that because that is state code. And generally we have assigned, you know, it's not a great expense. I mean, so I know that in our conversations with the Connects, that has not been specifically brought up.
Brad, does that have to be a retail value or is that a negotiated fee?
The code basically says you can't gift the property. In the past, you know, when you're talking about a property that doesn't have much value to third parties and only the adjoining owner, we essentially charge enough to cover the city's costs associated with preparing documents and publishing notices. So usually, you know, in the range of $500 to $1,000 for vacation of an alley or street. I haven't had any conversations with Connects, but my assumption is we have to treat that similarly to how we've treated other vacations and conveyances and, you know, at least charge enough to cover our costs.
So as an example, because it pertains to this, but when NIAC wanted to put that new addition in here, it was for $1. So are we?
They're governmental entities, so you can specifically gift to other government entities without charging the fee.
Okay.
So that we did not charge anything for because the code said we didn't have to charge anything.
So based on the information we know right now, we don't know if TNC Machine is in agreement with that, correct?
As far as for the fee,
Right.
that is correct. I mean, we have not specifically talked to them about this.
John, can I Can I speak to this?
Yes.
Okay, I have been in direct contact with Chuck and Teresa about this, and they are ready to proceed with the solution that we have come up with. So they are okay with these fees that they will be incurred. I can speak directly to that.
Thank you.
I have a question or thought, as I asked around about this and heard about it, people were wondering the order because the thought would be if we could get the E and Kellogg done first, people are gonna be more motivated to say, wow, nice intersection for us. I can see how we can let that one go. And then we wouldn't, if the railroad did the, Grand and we close Iowa first, all we have left are bad tracks, which I think we talked about, bad crossings. So, and who knows how long that be. There could be a long delay. They don't have an incentive to do Kellogg and E.
Kellogg and E is already in the schedule, isn't it, John?
Yes.
It's already in the,
Oh, it
because
is, okay.
it's a different program, and that DOT has already put that in their schedule for when? Summer 27?
Yes.
And when's this, sorry.
Well-
When-
Okay, so how this actually all got started was, North Grand needed to be upgraded. The signals, the existing signals are too far away from the tracks. And so the railroad working with the DOT applied through the federal program, which is called Section 130. And as part of that initial design work, they realized that the Iowa Lane Street crossing was too close to work with the new technology that the signals are today. And there's no way to upgrade the Iowa Lane Street crossing to meet current standards because of the geometry and existing utilities. So we're kind of coming up to a section. This is why the DOT is really kind of pushing this as well, is because we're getting to the point where the Grand Avenue crossing project, if it doesn't get started and finished in soon enough, that it will lose that Section 130 funding. So we almost need to, as I understand, we need to take care of that before the E Street and the Kellogg Street are already in the schedule. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I don't know why it's when you said, we've been told it has to happen first. I don't know who told us that and why they told us that.
Is it,
Basically, the FHWA, the Department, US Department of Transportation has told the state that all these, grant projects, they have a certain time limit on them, and if they don't get spent, then they'll take that money and put them on other projects. They just
so if we had been able to move sooner on this, then the order of construction events could have been altered, but because we're approaching the closing of the grant window, it might be that grant has to get done first to be done within that window timeframe.
right, yeah, if we would not have had to close the Iowa Lane, the Grand probably would have already been started.
So do we know, I know the fellow from the DOT keeps saying, time is of the essence, time is of the essence, because we have to do ordering. Do we have any idea when that Grand Avenue crossing repair will happen? Do we have any idea on that? I've never heard a date on that.
Okay, well, and when we did kind of pin him down, he said, this agreement gets executed by the city council tonight. It was this meeting that he talked about. And so I know that the railroad will not start ordering and procuring their signals and all their work until an agreement is in place.
Right.
And so this is kind of the first initial step. And their lead time is about 9 months. So probably it's gonna be maybe about 27 anyway before it gets started. And that brings up, there's actually that's gonna have to be kind of the initial push, but we're not gonna be able to, close everything at one time, so we're gonna have to kind of make sure that crossings stay open for access.
Cause I say, the DOT fellows told us there's a 3 years from, I think, when, I don't know when the 3 years started, we had 3 years to totally complete the project, do all the reporting, do all the everything. And there's probably about a year's worth of stuff that has to be done after the work is done. So he never did say, well, we're gonna require the crossing on this date. But whenever that clock starts, whether it's when we make this announcement, I don't know when that 3-year clock starts, but he said, there's a year of reporting after the work is even done. So I would say it's at the maximum 2 years from now when they will do the actual work. But that's just backtracking from what he said.
Like John said, he was pretty adamant that we have to get it done tonight.
Right, but I could say, my point is, I don't know, he didn't tell us if we do it tonight, when are they gonna start work up there? He didn't tell us that.
No, that end date is never really said. It was like, this is kind of the initial.
It's kind of always
step.
a nebulous date.
They're working their way backwards, I think, to figure
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and we've been told that this is the last, we have to do it tonight more than once, and we didn't do it that night either, so to keep telling us, and I agree with him. There is a certain amount of deadline in there, but I bet if we did it 2 weeks from now, it'd still be okay, but that doesn't mean we should. But yeah,
So what I'm hearing is that while a certain order might make more sense, we are, we're kind of stuck, like, the railroads have to order stuff, we have to work with the DOT, and we're just gonna get projects done when they come online in a way that doesn't close all of our crossings at once, causing a
Yes.
problem for the city. So we may not have a lot of control over the order, we just have to get it done so we get the funding that's available to us at this point. So,
Yes.
upshot.
yeah, just thinking that.
My last question, if this is approved by the council, how is the communication gonna go? So we're not regrading Bracken, working on Wayne Street at the same time, and there's really no, all 3 accesses are out of commission for TNC machine to even access the building. I'm concerned about how that's gonna be orchestrated and communicated to them.
Well, the city will have to work with the DOT and CPKC and CN because we're working with 2 railroads. So it'll be, just a, we'll have to orchestrate it with all 4 parties.
I do think the railroad and the DOT understand that we can't close all the railroad crossings on one day, the
Yes.
same day. They understand there's a sequence that has to happen to keep our crossings open, at least 2 of them, all the time. And we did get a notice today from Chief Anderson that they did test the Kellogg Street crossing again. And the fire equipment can cross there. It could be better, and that's what we're striving for, but in the meantime, our equipment can cross there today. But he said, obviously, it would be better to have it fixed, and that's where we're talking about in 27, and when that will be redone. So whether that's done before or after is not a big crisis, because the fire truck can get across there. But obviously, we want to have it, we want to have as many good crossings open as we can, but there's gonna be some time when all 4 crossings are not gonna be open. But there's also not gonna be a time when all 4 crossings are closed. It's totally unacceptable.
Well, this is quite a bit more complicated because of 2 railroads and the DOT. Phasing projects and who's open and who's closed is something we do almost with every project.
Yeah.
To make sure people have access to their businesses and whatnot, it's just something we always do, so.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a project that has a ton of moving parts with so many entities involved and, while there might still be things that we wish could be a little bit better, at this point, I would move to approve resolution 9225.
Second.
as for further discussion, but I did have a
Sorry.
comment from a citizen. When the railroad was here last week, they talked about if we said we will not close that crossing, they would go ahead and move the crossings up at Grand Street anyway, because to make them compliant, but they would probably use the old signals rather than putting in new signals, because that was the problem with electronics. But they would not fix the crossing up on the street. The person asked me, said, well, it's about the same cost whether we close it or we don't. It's gonna be about $120,000–130,000 for the city either way. So why would we not just go with what we have? Well, go with what we have. We're not gonna get that North Grand intersection or crossing fixed. So, and that's one of our biggest needs, is to fix that crossing. So I get comments on that almost daily. When is that crossing going to be fixed? So yeah, to do it and not fix that crossing, I think would not be a good deal.
Mayor,
If I can,
did you verify that since our conversation today?
John was the one, go ahead, John. John was the one who told me that, Brian.
okay, because I know everybody's seen the cars, how they weave up there at, on the North Grand Crossing. And part of the, railroad improvement project that's going to be covered under the section 130, the federal fund, will actually be reconstructing that whole street, moving, it'll add curb and gutter, moving it in, and creating, you know, sidewalks like you normally see, you know, curb and gutter, sidewalks up, and keeping cars within the travel lane. And there won't be any way, for one thing, it'll be a completely new crossing. Now, that is all being paid for. The city's not having to pay for any of that street work because that's being covered under that federal funded project. Now, if we lose that federal funded project, like a 60-20-20 project, like what we talked about last week, that is a surface crossing improvement, and that's just the surface. It doesn't have anything to do with the street. So if we want to pull the street in, that would all be at city cost. So it's, so in a way, if we did nothing, that would really, be a detriment, I feel, to the North Grand Crossing project.
Did the
Other-
railroad actually say that they would not improve the street itself, the actual crossing? I know they said they would, keeping the status quo, I think they said they would move the signals closer to the tracks to make it compliant. It would still work with Lane Street.
Yes, because the railroad, okay, right now, the railroad's not paying for that, it's being paid by federal funds. And when the railroad does crossing work, they take care of the crossing. Any street work is always by the entity, either the DOT, county, or the cities that have that crossing. That's who's responsible for the actual street work.
Other
How much-
questions?
How much would that cost, I guess, John? Or how much would that cost the city? 'Cause I just wonder how much that would cost the city, because I'm just looking at it right now, the 200,000 coming in to close the crossing. Just the work to bracket and lane is more than 200,000. So leaving that open and still spending the money to improve Kellogg and E, we still have less spent. And 4 crossings, 2 of them at least are improved, and Grand becomes compliant. But you're saying it would still be rough.
I think what we're saying is that closing the crossing or not closing the crossing, the city costs are gonna be comparable. They might not be exactly to the dollar, but they're both gonna be in the $120,000 to $140,000 range. Not closing the crossing, we're still gonna have a bad crossing on North Grand. And that, not only the crossing itself, but like John said, the street, the sidewalks, everything will be paid for totally by a federal fund. There will be no city cost to that. If we leave it as is, it'll be one of those 60-30-30 things, probably, or 60-20-20 things. But that will only replace the crossing. It won't do anything as far as curbs, sidewalks, any of that stuff. Which this project will do all of that, correct?
Right, and it's probably almost equivalent to the city block, because we're going quite a ways to the south of the crossing, up through the 13th Avenue intersection. And then it has a new storm sewer, so it's gonna be quite a project.
So if you take Dan's memo there, Dan, which I appreciate Dan putting together, was the city spending about 10,000 on closing. But you're saying we're getting significantly more than $10,000 worth of benefit on the grand crossing by virtually closing lanes.
What's a block of street and curb and gutter? We gotta be in the millions now.
It would be a considerable project.
All right, any other comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Lumley,
Nay.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Noah.
Aye.
All right, thank you for everybody for all of your comments and concerns, and we will move forward. John, you'll probably be in contact with the railroad and the DOT.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all. And we'll be in touch with the Connects to let them know that we've moved forward with this. And, you know, like I said, I think they've been pretty good to work with for the most part, and we've been, tried to keep them in the loop also. So I think it's been a good back and forth between us and the Connects also. So it's been hopefully it'll be a good project for them also as when it all gets done, said and done.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we have resolution 9325. And this is authorizing a development agreement with Curb Tender. Discussion. Who's gonna lead this discussion?
I can go ahead and do that. Curb Tender has applied for the Economic Development Forgivable Loan Program, with the city of Charles City and CCADC. It supports a renovation project of the old Winnebago building that they purchased and will create 50 jobs in the city of Charles City. With this agreement, Curb Tender will receive $62,500 in a forgivable loan, or $1,250 per new job, and commits to complete the project by December 31st of this year. And create the 50 new full-time jobs with an average wage of $22.58 per hour. Those 50 jobs will need to be in place by September 15th of 2028. If not, they default on their agreement and must repay that $1,250 for each job not created at that time. Curb Tender is fully in agreement with this and has already actually signed the loan documents, or the development agreement, I should say.
We've had very good luck with this in the last 3 or 4 years with the expansions at Zoetis and Cambridge. And those fulfilling their commitment there, and I feel very confident in this one here. So.
This process has been in place for a long time.
Yep.
Needs to be kind of relooked at again. It's getting a little bit long in the tooth, but we're working on that. And honestly, this is one of the smaller ones we've had in quite a while, so I would move to approve.
Second.
Further questions, comments? Call the roll.
Friesman,
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Noah.
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
All right, next up is resolution 9425, and this is authorizing and approving an amended and restated loan and disbursement agreement and amended and restated water reserve bond. Discussion.
This has to do with the Clearwell project that is now basically complete. The original project was financed by a water revenue bond. It's an SRF loan for $4.75 million. Of this amount, the actual project and expenditure draws totaled $4.363 and some change. The SRF has offered a significant loan forgiveness of over $1 million, along with the additional credit of 23,750 of the initiation fee. This reduces our loan to just over 3 million for this, which is significant. In order to close out this completely, SRF said that we would have to go back through our bond council and amend our agreements and everything else to get this all stated in there. So that's what this is coming today.
Do we have an estimate of what that's gonna cost to get the bond attorneys to redo that?
It sounded like it wasn't much, less than $1,000 to fully redo
Oh, really?
all of this. So, and they had everything, I didn't get the, I think it was the beginning of September, end of August, when they finally said that we had to do this. And I had the documents quite quickly, so sounds like full closure will be October 3rd for all of this. So,
That's a great deal.
Actually, did we know we were getting this loan forgiveness?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, I don't either.
No,
so I thought it was actually for a different loan because we also received $1 million loan forgiveness on another loan. And I thought that's what this was for when he went through. And then when we started going through all the documents, I was like, wait a minute, this is Clearwell, this isn't.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing,
This is fantastic.
because that other million was for the work,
yes,
Yeah.
that
that
are
was like
refund
for,
that went toward projects.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
that's
That was a
what their
much bigger,
projects.
you know, this was, this is.
To get that work done for bond attorneys, I don't know what Brad thinks, but $1,000 is it's pretty good.
I'm guessing it won't be $1 million anyway.
yeah, I mean, anytime you see lowers the total principal, that's a good thing, so I would, I would move to approve.
Second,
Any other comments?
And if I hear differently on that, I can let you guys know, but they said that it would be fairly quickly.
We'll call the roll.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Noah. Aye. Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
aye,
Next up then is resolution 9525. This is accepting a reduction of a certified special assessment for unpaid utilities at 901 North Main. Do you want to cover this, Brad, or do you want me to, or?
If you wanna start it, it's just with background information, I can
Sure.
jump in after.
Yeah, so we had a request from obviously, this is the Pure Prairie Poultry Facility. That went into bankruptcy, it's now in receivership, and the receivership company contacted me and said they have some potential buyers, that they would like some forgiveness of the back water bills. I know that was a big concern of ours when the plant closed, that they had over $600,000 of water bills. I think it's 625,000 and some, as Brittany said, some change. And so we looked at it, and about 25,000 of that was penalties that were charged for late fees and different things like that, which brought it down to about $600,000. And they were requesting that we would be willing to reduce that by 10%. That would make their sale more ability to happen. And so we said we would bring that to the council. I think the reasoning behind that was, if we reduced it by 10%, we're gonna get $540,000 of our bill repaid. If nothing ever happens, we probably are gonna get zero, or potentially get zero at this point. So Brad has been working with the receivership company, so Brad, I'll let you continue from that.
Yeah, I think you covered it well there, Mayor. My understanding is they are in the process of transferring assets back to the primary lender through one of his holding companies, and then the lender's obviously gonna try to market that to someone, a third party, to purchase that and come in and operate the facility. And as Mayor said, I think to try to facilitate a transaction with a third party, they're requesting a reduction to make that more feasible.
You talked with the county treasurer, how that process would work.
Yeah, she recommended. So we've taken steps to, as our code allows, to certify this as a lien on the property, which is why we're in the position that we're in. It basically showed up as a lien when the lender was taking title back to the home. My understanding is she essentially recommended that a payment could be made directly to the city, and then we'd have to take steps with the treasurer to rescind that special assessment so that it's no longer a lien on the property. And we would not take steps to do that, obviously, until we receive the agreed upon payment. So unless and until we receive payment, we wouldn't take any action. The receiver is essentially looking for just assurances that if the city does receive that payment, it will take appropriate legal steps to release or rescind the special assessment against the property.
So by us taking this action tonight, if we were to approve it, that goes on record that we're willing to accept a lesser amount than what shows up in that lien.
Correct, exactly.
But
lien amount.
The lien amount does not change at this
Exactly.
time until everything's put to bed.
Yep.
So
Correct,
if something goes haywire someplace else, we're back to square one.
correct. For the way we prepared that resolution is we would have to receive payment by end of the year, otherwise we have no obligation to do anything with that special assessment.
Other questions?
So if we did nothing today, we're sitting at 0. Still with a lien on it. And that lien could sit out there for how long?
If the taxes, so it's assessed essentially the same way as property taxes, so if taxes aren't paid by next summer, it would go up for tax sale. And realistically, I don't think anyone would bid on that with the amount, maybe they would, but we wouldn't, if we do nothing and it's not paid, then it would come up for tax sale next summer and we may or may not get paid as part of that tax sale. It would depend on if there's.
The lien would still be there.
Correct, lien would still be there.
But this is an opportunity to collect the balance of the lien, which today we're collecting nothing. To your point.
And this would have been billed at our normal rate for water. And I don't know exactly what our cost is on the water. But hopefully, I would like to think that we're still coming out a little bit ahead of what our cost is. Just we're not getting the full retail value like we should have hoped, if they would have done this, we'd have more money. I don't like giving it up at the same time.
Since a lot of this
Burden of
penalties would be over and above what our normal
Right.
rates were,
Right.
so our normal rate should cover our costs.
That's what
Then some, so since this is penalties, it should be over and above that.
that's what I'm trying to get at.
Additionally, by doing this, we, hopefully actually get that money and it makes a sale to potential buyers more palatable. Correct? Like that's what they're saying, that if we can lower this, a buyer might be more interested, so. We would get our payment on the water and then potentially have a buyer as well. So.
Brad, quick question on the tax sale. If this did go to tax sale, this lien could go away at that time, correct?
No, my understanding is it'd be included.
It would still be.
Just like the
included.
property taxes, it'd be included in the amount that would be up for tax.
That's not for tax, okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I had that right. Thank you.
So is this their offer?
They initially requested a 15% reduction of the 625. When we looked at, they did mention that there's a lot of penalty in that. So we kind of looked at, saw that the penalties were about 25,000. So we said, it doesn't cost us anything to produce penalties like it does to produce water. So we figured we could reduce that 25,000 because we didn't have any expense for that. And then since we reduced that 25,000, then I went back to him and said, how about if we take away the penalties and then give you a reduction rather than a 15% reduction overall. So they started the conversation. I kind of made a counter offer, I guess you would say, and he was more than happy with this offer. So maybe I should have said 5%.
So we know what the base amount they owe. Plus the penalties, because you've been told, what would be our cost? handling this to get to the next point where they would accept it? What additional costs is the city incurring?
We won't have much additional cost to get that rescinded or released. Does that answer your question? Yeah. And it, because it's been assessed as part of property taxes, it becomes delinquent October 1st, so it's gonna accrue penalties and interest through the treasurer's office until it's paid. And we'll collect that additional interest, because we're saying that you need to pay the full amount owing as of the date of payment, less this agreed upon amount. So we'll still continue to collect some.
So technically, by October 1st, whoever the holder is could incur more penalty if it's not paid by October 1st.
Correct.
Other questions?
I would move to approve.
Second.
Any other comments?
Yes, I do have a comment on this. Do we have any assurances that they are going to accept this agreement and make this payment? And are there any time restrictions on accepting this agreement?
My understanding is that what they've told me, what the receiver told me, is that if the property's sold, that this assessment would be included on the closing statement and paid as part of closing. So the only assurance we have is that we have a lien on the property that needs to be released for someone to get good title. So it can't be transferred to a third party without dealing with this, essentially. And their time frame is that if it's not paid by December 31st. We have no obligation to accept that lesser amount. They'd have to come back to city council and negotiate it, either pay the balance in full or negotiate a reduced amount again. Does that
Okay,
answer your question?
yes, that does that. I feel a lot more comfortable with this agreement, with that understanding being held there.
So basically, by 31 December, it becomes null and void. Not
Correct.
budget.
And then it would just remain a lien on the property.
Anybody else? Call the roll.
Knighton,
Aye.
Noah, Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Right, next then is resolution 9625, which is dealing with the same property. Approving assignment and assumption of the lease agreement.
And I can take this.
Yeah, you probably know more on this than I do.
If you recall, when Pure Prairie expanded, they approached the city and requested that we vacate that portion of Main in front of the building, which we did vacate that at the time, but the city retained title to that. And we leased it to them over a period of 3 years, with annual payments of $22,000. And then at the end of that lease, which would be this November, they have an option to purchase that portion of Main Street, and that additional payment would be $34,000. They are current on their lease payments under that lease. And the receiver has requested that the lease be assigned to the lender. So that they could then potentially assign that to a third party as well. It can't be assigned from Pure Prairie to a third party without council approval. So they're requesting that council authorize the assignment of that lease and option to the lender. And if the lender happened to sell that property, they have to come back to council and get an additional approval to assign it to a buyer.
And they would be obligated to the same things that Pure Prairie Farm is.
Correct, they would assume all obligations.
So it just changes who it's assigned to, but
Exactly.
stays the same.
Yep,
So what happens in November when that third installment's not made? Then they default everything and it goes back to the city, correct?
yeah, so they're actually paid up through November 25. They paid 22, 23, 24. So they've made all their annual payments. The lease terminates November of 25. At that point, they have an option to buy that from the city. If they don't seek an option to buy that, the city just retains title to Main Street there. as it's vacated right of way, but it's still city property. My assumption is that whoever it's assigned to is going to, you know, pay the city the 34,000 in November.
Other comments?
This makes sense. It only makes, sense, that the lease would be assigned to, the new purchaser or the new borrower. So, I'd make a motion to approve, the, correction of the lease agreement.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other comments? We'll call the roll.
Noah. Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
All right. Next up is just discussion on the city administrator interview schedule. We have, if you selected 3 candidates to interview, if you probably all saw the board from Brittany, that one candidate has withdrawn because he's applied to 2 other jobs. He's the one who was not. Has no city administrator experience, so he's also applied for some other jobs. And he's a finalist in 2 other positions, and he's decided to pursue those 2 positions, so he's gonna withdraw from our position. We do have 2 candidates, and we were told today by Marquita that we can release their names, Tyler, or Travis. You asked me the other day. So one of the candidates is Tyler Trout, who is the current city administrator in Avoca, Iowa. The other candidate is Charles Adam Ledford, who's the city manager in Norris, Tennessee. He has been a city administrator in Iowa. He was the administrator at Sac City, Iowa from 2008 to 2016. So he does have some connection to Iowa. So those are our 2 candidates who will be coming in on September 26th. And so the plan is to have them be here at 3 o'clock, and from 3 to 4:30, we will do a tour with each of them. If their spouse comes along, they are certainly invited to be in that tour. They will each have separate tours of the city from 3 to approximately 4:30. Then we'll have an hour off. At 5:30 till 7, we will have a reception at the Arts Center.
Mayor, is it 5:30 to 7 or is it 5 to 7?
This was just tentative,
Okay,
so, yeah.
we're good, sorry.
Brittany and I made this plan an hour
Okay.
ago, 3 hours ago. So, yeah, from 5:30 till 7, we're still open on whether you guys want to have a dinner for those 2 candidates after that. Or whether you would rather they just be done at 7 o'clock and they go on their own. We will invite probably, we haven't decided if we're gonna invite all the public or invited public, probably invited public, or there'll be just the people that we asked to interview with us from the public to that reception on Friday night, or if we will invite maybe more than just those, because we're probably looking about probably 6 people to be part of the interview process. We may want to interview or may want to invite more than 6 people to that reception on Friday night. We haven't made that for sure. We'll, seek your guidance on that also. And then on Saturday morning, we had a question from Marquita. Do we want to just have 2 interview groups and just have them go from one to the other? Or do we still want to stay with 3 interview groups and they would each get an hour break in that 3-hour time? If we have only 2 interview groups, number 1, it makes for a larger interview group. Number 2, it makes it an official meeting because 3 of you will be in one of those groups. And so we have to post it and all that stuff. Not that we can't do that. Again, Brittany and I were talking today and we thought we would be better off staying with the 3 time slots and they would just have an hour to kind of decompress a little bit while they're not being interviewed by one of the 3 groups. So that's kind of what we talked about, having those from 9 o'clock till noon. At noon, we would release the candidates. We would have lunch brought in here, probably a box lunch for all of the interviewers. Us, city staff and public all those people who interviewed would have a lunch. We would then dismiss them at 1 o'clock, and the council would then at 1 o'clock have a special meeting to discuss the candidates and hopefully at that time make a selection. That's the tentative schedule that we talked about today. So if that sounds agreeable, I think the only thing we need to discuss is, do you want to have an official dinner after the reception or not?
I think, oh, go ahead, Wayne.
Go ahead.
I think that the dinner afterwards is a little overkill. I think the reception, you're getting the right people in the right room. It's a relaxed atmosphere. You're really getting to know the candidate. And I'm not sure what else you would wanna gain by having yet another dinner after that. Just my 2 cents.
Yep.
I guess I'm gonna differ with you a little bit there. It would be the one time when we would be as a council totally with those people and not as part of another group. You know, it'd be the one time we have just some direct time with those candidates. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but I kind of recall when we did that with the last hire. And I can't remember exactly how it worked, but I remember it was at 3C Bistro. And, you know, it did seem like a nice deal to get a little more comfortable with them. Because when they're at the, art center, if that's where we do the reception, and then you've got other people from the community in there and everything else, none of us are gonna get to spend a whole lot of time, you know, with them. None of us are gonna get to spend a lot of direct time with them, you know, in the interviews. Maybe that's not important to anybody else, and I'm kind of willing to go with the flow, but I just want to point out, that'd be the one time that we would have direct, you know, access to them ourselves, so.
Do you see it as like, one meal with all of us and both candidates all together, or
Right,
is that how you've done it in the past?
Yeah, I mean, you could, you know, get up and move around, not everybody sit, you know, just with the one, you know, since we've only got 2. You know, you'd have to kind of get people to move around a little bit to. You know, maybe a certain group sits with one candidate, and if their spouse comes, turn the salad and somebody else goes, you know, I don't know what you do, but, you know, it wouldn't be that hard to get people to move around to do
I
it.
mean, yeah, you know, you were here for the last one, so I mean, you found value, and I kind of. I take that on board too, and you're right, you get 30 people or 15 people, whatever the number is gonna be at wherever, you're not gonna be getting hardly any one-on-one time with them. It's just to get a feel for them. So, I mean, I'm open.
Yeah, and I don't have a strong feel one way or another, but I just wanted to throw that out, that that's what I remembered from that last.
Is there a place you would recommend to do it
That's
at?
my only comment. We don't have a 3C bistro anymore.
We don't have, yeah, you'd almost have to do it in here and try to cater it in or something, but it'd be the only good idea I could come up with. And I don't know how good that is.
Yeah, cause any of our public facilities are too loud.
Right, no, I agree 100%.
Or is it something you could still do at the art center once, like public, if you're east at 7? I guess I haven't been in there to know, so.
Yeah, you could.
Haven't they had, I feel like they've had meals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have meals in there, so
You could do
you're
it
set up
very
and,
easily.
around the world. Yeah.
You could almost go have whoever catered it come in here, set it up and come from over there to over here. Without trying to get set up in there.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's nice building, but it's not the most conducive to having a lot going on at the same time.
You know, the only thing is, it's a much nicer atmosphere to have a dinner for 16 than this room is. You know, it's like, you feel like you're got 2 tables and this. Well, but I mean, we don't have to figure that out today. I guess the
Yeah.
question is, I think we need to do it either there or here, not at like the pub.
I agree, that's too noisy in there.
We can figure out which private place we want to do it in, but.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, Krista or Phoebe, do you have a strong feeling one way or the other?
I don't have a
Or
strong,
Philip also,
I don't have a real strong feeling one way or the other. I hadn't really, I guess, thought about just like a smaller atmosphere, to be able to kind of talk to the candidates. You know, I'd be curious if we had the dinner at the art center, how, you're right, like how it would function to set up for that, cause I feel like it would be awkward to shuffle everybody out, try to set up some tables and then sit down to dinner, so there could be an advantage to having it here. I think, you know, we just have to logistically see how it would work over there.
The one thing, again, when we're if you have the same caterer for the reception and the dinner, they're already right there, they've already got all their stuff right there.
Just a thought, are we set in stone on the art center? When the
No.
new NIAC president came on board, we all went, a lot of us went over there. And they were actually having a meeting in the conference room with all their directors. Right after the grip and grin, and they actually had the meal in another room, so. You could knock out both there.
Yeah, I don't think logistically. If you have two separate caterers, that's a problem.
Right.
If you have the same caterer, all it involves is setting up 3 tables and you're done.
Right.
I never thought about Nyack Center, that's not a bad idea. I mean,
I called to ask if we could use it for a council meeting instead of the courthouse, and they told me that they don't allow people to use it after hours anymore.
oh,
So I could double check again, but that's what the receptionist told me, because I thought that would be very slick to use that right
Yeah.
over there, and.
well, let's do that.
I don't mind the idea of like, if especially if we split them, having the reception at the art center. I think the art center is a nice little location for kind of a small reception, little small groups of meet and greet, and it gets them into, you know, something that the community has to offer. So just another way for them to see what they, you know, what we have. So I guess maybe in some ways it would be good if we had a dinner to have it at a second location, if we can also use it to showcase somewhere else that we haven't been, like, you know, hey, we have the Nyack Center here and this is what they do, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty flexible on. Yeah,
Let me give a little input on this. My question is, what is the exact purpose of the dinner? Are we going to be asking the candidates questions about their qualifications and everything during the dinner?
No.
Is that
I think we say, hey,
Is that our intentions?
I think it's just casual conversation and a relaxed atmosphere. I don't think anybody's gonna have an agenda of questions. I would hope not. That's for Saturday. I think we say, hey, I've never been down to Tennessee. Well, if I go down to Tennessee, where should I go when I go there? Those kind of questions.
Okay, that's important to me that we don't delve into, you know, some of the questions that they would actually receive Saturday at the interviews.
No,
I think we need to ensure.
My 2 cents worth, I'm pretty flexible, but I try to think of it from their experience. One, I don't think it'll be a relaxed atmosphere for them
yeah,
at all. It will,
they know they still have to be on.
They're still
Yeah.
on.
absolutely, and we're not done with the open house till 7, so this is like till 10 o'clock at night. What time do we start on Saturday?
We're telling 9.
9, yeah. The other thing I'm just gonna say, I'm not really comfortable with the wide partners being there. It feels to me that's. We're not interviewing a family, we're not checking out how your relationship is, so I'm maybe a little younger on that, but I'm not super comfortable with
With if we did a
if
dinner.
we did a dinner.
Yeah.
I would agree with
I
that
guess-
also. I mean, if anything, if we want to just socialize with them a little more, I mean, maybe after the reception is held, we could just maybe invite them to you know, the brewery or the pub, and we could just kind of sit and visit with them at that point if we're going to just kind of get to know them. I don't see the dinner as being necessary.
I think
I
we
think
better
it's
be
a little
going
bit of over the
pub
hill.
or any place else with these people individually.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing, Philip, I don't think. We either do it organized as a group or we don't do anything.
Well, I guess I hadn't thought of, I think Chris is right. It's not a relaxed atmosphere. They're sitting around with all of us.
Right.
It's still, they're performing still.
Only way outnumbered, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I would be-
I'd agree with what you guys saying. I do agree that they would still be, in performance mode. But I'm just saying, if this is something we're going to do, I don't think a dinner is necessary. We could just make it a little lighter. Like I said, but I would lean more towards not having a dinner at all, just having the reception and just moving on to the next step the next day.
To me, that going back to it, I guess, is the nice thing it does show though is how they react in a social setting. Because that's gonna be a part of this thing as well. So
Yeah.
you're gonna hope that that's what they do. But
I think you can observe, you may not be talking to them directly at the reception, but you can observe how they react in a social setting. With the public for an hour and a half.
My concern too with the dinner is you have a quorum. And, if you're deliberating things within your policy making decision, it's a meeting. They might have questions about the city or certain projects. It's very hard to avoid conversations on items that are within your policy making. So not that you can't do it, but I think it becomes a meeting and now you have to post an agenda, you have to take minutes, you have to publish minutes. So it creates a little bit of question mark there as to what our legal obligations are as far as notice and publication.
I also do I get a plate?
There you go.
Do we have the same
Yep.
issue with the,
I don't think so. What I plan to do there is just post notice. I'll talk with Brittany. We haven't settled on exactly how we're gonna handle it, but we would post notice that it's not a meeting, but council is going to be there. There's gonna be a quorum and it's essentially a meet and greet with the candidates for city administrator. And there you're not all sitting in one location where you're having a full discussion among, with all 5 of you present. It's more a little bit one-on-one time with the candidate. So I have less concern with that than I do with a meal with all 5 of you sitting around the same table.
I know,
Yeah, and the open house would involve other people as well, so.
It's an introduction to the public.
So it'd be the same as a reception going away for like tree.
Sure, yeah.
It's very casual.
So I guess I'm hearing that no dinner. Does everybody disagree with that?
I don't disagree. I believe that probably would be the safest approach also. That was actually what Brad mentioned about the quorum. I was going to ask that question next, but it seems like to me he already outright stated that, that it would be a quorum. So it would kind of defeat our purpose of getting together with the candidates to have a little bit more closer correspondence and interaction.
And just because we say the reception is from 5:30 till 7, if somebody wants to hang around till 7:20, that's fine and dandy. If you want to visit with somebody, longer than 7 o'clock, I don't think we have to shoo everybody out the door at 7 o'clock. So are we okay with that schedule? I know Delane is the nay vote, but
but
I say you would prefer the other way, but I think
I
everybody's.
just wanted to throw it out there,
Yeah.
because I'd rather throw it out ahead of time, and if nobody's comfortable doing that, I mean, we did it in the past, so there's a way to do it. We didn't get in trouble, nobody got, sued or anything, so I know it can be done, because we did it, but if nobody wants to do that, that's fine. It just, this is a big decision for our community, and I guess I wanna make sure we get as much chance to do it right as we can, so.
All right. Anything else on the interview schedule? I don't think.
For the open house, do we still need to just figure out, are we gonna just invite people? Like, what are we doing with that?
Good
Like,
question.
who's gonna be there?
I mean, we'll definitely invite the 6 people that be involved with the interview the next day. But I have Delane's wrong email. And Philip, I don't know if I got you that email or not, but could you send me a list of 5 or 6 community members you'd like to see involved?
I don't believe that I received that email, but I'll double check and, if I have, I'll respond to you tonight. If, I have anybody that I'd like to see.
Yeah,
involved.
just send me like 5 or 6 or 7 individuals and then we'll compare lists. So far, I've gotten lists from Krista, Phoebe and Patrick, and there's probably of your list, there's 3 repeats. So I think you have 3
Okay,
people. Rest of
do
them
you
are
have a
all.
do you have a timeline on, do you remember, exactly when you were sent that email out?
Let's see.
I think it was
Late last
Wednesday, but
week.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
You know,
I'll double check.
And it doesn't
go ahead.
matter, just send me an email with the 6, with the names. You don't have to respond, but just send it to
Okay,
my mayor,
I'll do.
mayor, city of
I'll-
Charles City.
Okay, I'll do that. Yes, because I do have a few that I would like to see there, and I'll go ahead and get that
Yeah.
info to you.
So but that being said, I think, like I said, you wanna pick 6 for the interview, but I do think it'd be, and I don't know if you wanna go off the lists of what you sent to me as, other people that weren't selected for the interviews, or what do you wanna do as? Cause I think it would be okay to have other people at that reception other than just
Yeah.
those 6.
I kind of
Okay.
like the idea.
Are
for
we,
the
Mayor, just
Go
one
ahead.
more clarification. Are we talking about city staff or people outside of city staff as well for that interview, besides the council?
The general public, not city staff. Just community members,
Okay, gotcha.
okay, Phoebe?
I guess, my thinking was if. Maybe at this point, anybody on the list that we've sent gets an invite to the open house. And we say, check in with a council member before you leave with any thoughts on the candidates. And then we kind of see what that number is gonna look like, because I honestly think if we put it out and we said anybody in town can come, I don't think we would be overwhelmed with people. And I think that if we sent an invite specifically to any names we've brought up, we would be sure, hopefully, to get them if they're available, and that would let them know, like, give us some feedback. But if other members of the public are wanting to come, to me, I think that would be fine. We maybe won't touch base with everybody that stops in. We wouldn't have time for that. I don't think it would be overwhelming.
And I've never had it, I've done it several times and it's never a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's only people that are like really interested in.
All of
You're offering food, free food.
Well, even at the free food, it doesn't seem to ever get like a lot.
Yeah.
But I do think. I would like us to send an invitation to the people that were on your list, that we don't have on the committee. And probably we won't get very many other people, but if we get 20 more people, we don't have food for everybody. Because we are gonna have to work with the caterer to get food for this, because if we're not including a meal, I would like to have the food be not substantial, but not meager either.
Right.
And I called Ginger's Top Shelf today just to get an estimate, and I haven't gotten anything back, but I don't know what you wanna spend on this either. Because, we could spend, I told her, this is just an email, I said 40 people.
Mhm.
Are we talking about 40? Are we talking about 70? Are we talking about, I don't know.
I don't think that 70 would be a number we would have to be concerned with,
Well,
but, yeah.
I've gotten 20 names already and I haven't gotten those 2 guys as in stuff.
What about, not just an idea, what about, going through the chamber? I mean, trying to use our chamber and have Mark send something out to invite chamber members.
I think if we do that, we have to have them RSVP. Because like I said, I don't want 70 people coming and we have food for 20.
I'm just
Yeah,
throwing an idea out.
right. But I just think that, I think we have to know who's have an idea of how many we're
For
expecting.
numbers, yeah.
But the art center isn't that big either, so we want people jammed in together.
Right.
You know,
No, we don't.
that's limiting who's there. would be beneficial in my opinion.
I think we decide who comes to this, not the public.
Yeah, I could be finding, either way, doesn't matter.
Yes, I'll be the one to say it, but we are using public funds for this. So
Yeah.
I do feel like we need to put that out there to the public, honestly.
Like as an invitation to the
Yeah,
public.
I know, but it is public dollars that we.
I
Well,
don't
we're
believe that
also-
we need to put I don't believe that we need to send out a public invitation. Like I said, I understand that, you know, we're spending public funds, but we have to make the decision. I think we know who, the pertinent people that would have asked the important questions for this reception. So, I don't believe that it needs to be open to the public or open to public invitation.
No, I'm gonna lean on Brad. Brad, what's your opinion?
I mean, either way, I think is fine. We're gonna have to post notice that there's gonna be a quorum present, but that's not an official meeting. I guess I don't, legally, I don't think it makes a difference whether it's invite only or whether you open it up to the general.
I think you can open, I don't think you can invite the public, but you can say there's gonna be an open meeting, and if somebody shows up, we don't say, no, you can't come in.
Yeah, I wasn't meaning like put it out on social media and all of
Yeah.
that, but I mean, I don't think we can lose
Yeah, if somebody,
somebody know.
like Brad said, it's an open meeting, so if somebody wants to come in, I don't think we can say, no, you can't.
Right.
But I don't think we wanna, like I say, put out an open invitation. Come one, come all,
Yeah,
because we are paying for a meal also the following day at noon. For the interview committee,
mhm.
us, the city staff and the public, whoever does the interviews, we will have probably a box lunch for that and. For that event. So that gets back to again. Do we have a budget for this reception? Or do we just figure it out?
I'd like to see, like, to me, I have no idea what catering costs, right? So I'd be curious to see, you know, when you hear back from Ginger's Top Shelf or wherever else that we might look at, what are some even reasonable numbers? I would have no idea what to even put out there as a possible number.
Would it be unrealistic to think you're gonna be talking somewhere between $8 and $10 a head?
And I was thinking 10 in my head.
That's what I mean, it's gonna be pretty
$10
easy
per
to
person.
spend.
So if you're
Spend that
talking
amount
about
of money,
50
so-
people, it's $500. That doesn't
Right.
include the drink, and like Brittany said, we don't wanna have alcohol, because it's a public city meeting, so. The drinks would,
But you gotta have something.
water, soda would be extra, but yeah, I was thinking $10 a person, 50 people would be 500.
I would say for me, 500 is fine. You're there to meet and greet, shake hands and just casually have conversation. Not a gourmet meal, so crackers, meat, cheese type thing. Maybe a light dessert thing you can have, leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, we can see what, you know, she does this $20 a person, so well, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But, you know,
You're ready
she's
for
famous
the
for
sticker shock.
she's famous for cheesecake, so I'll probably be dessert. And like I say, and if somebody else has somebody else that we should contact, I'm fine with that too. I've just have been to some where she's catered and they're really, she does a nice job.
Mhm.
But if somebody else has somebody else, that's fine too.
You can order 2 large pizzas from every pizza place in town and eat however many. No.
Dave's does a pretty decent job too.
What's that?
Dave's does a pretty decent job with hors d'oeuvre type things.
Yeah,
Ivy does catering.
That I think,
Ivy would be pretty basic,
right,
I'm afraid. I don't want that basic. I don't want it extravagant, but I don't want it Hy-Vee basic. Sorry, don't put that in the paper. You know, you're gonna get a meat and cheese tray and a fruit tray and something else.
If you wanted, I could check and see if the high school comic cafe
Yeah,
is
that'd be great.
like ready to do, it's early in the year yet,
Yep.
so. But I can check and see if they think. they
No,
could
that would be a
cater
great
a
idea.
Greater event.
Yep. And like I said, if somebody else wants to contact somebody else, I'm open.
But I think realistically, we're gonna spend $500-600
Yes.
pretty easily.
Yeah.
To do this, but also, I mean, we're trying to bring a professional person in
Yeah.
town, so, you know, it's.
That's why I say I do wanna have it be
Nice.
sort of nice,
Right, exactly.
not just like, oh yeah, we went down and bought some crackers, threw them on the table. All right, anything else to discuss? So once I've gotten Philip and Delaine's list, I will kind of compile those, I'll send out to all of you who was the listed on more than one list, and then also all the other people that were listed. And then if you have any questions, let me know. And then we will have, do you want me then to contact the 6 people that, to see if they can even be there on that time?
You want to help, I can help you.
Okay? Any other logistics we need for that 2-day session?
Do we have the tour guides lined up?
Not yet.
Okay.
That was the other thing we were wondering who that should be. We can just, I mean, we can figure that out, but I don't know if you would want one of you to go along with another community member,
We could do that.
have a council person go along,
Um,
or would you rather have 2 council people go along and not have another community member?
I like the community.
I can think of a couple, if Jeff would be willing to do it, Jeff says, I'm not sure if he would,
His name came to my mind too.
but
Yeah.
he'd be one that'd be excellent to do that.
Yeah.
I
I think Veronica might be another possibility.
Exactly.
I also thought, and this is probably my teacher brain, but you know, I thought about all, you know, you read code ambassadors and then the student ambassadors too, like could we pair an adult and a student up so that they see like we, you know, cause that also shows how like the city or the community and the school work together quite frequently, cause that's not the only thing that has student members on the board, you know.
The only, as far as for tours, we want somebody who can answer their questions, and those students are not gonna be able to do that. You know, how many parks do you have in town? I don't know. I mean, not that we would know that, but we would say, well, there's Sportsman's, there's a Wildwood, there's blah, 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 blah. And hopefully we would, and we will have an itinerary for whoever's doing the tours of where we want them to go. So that both candidates will get the same tour, just with different people. But I like the student thing, but I just don't know if they're gonna just probably sit there and listen. Knowing who our student ambassadors are for ambassadors.
Yeah.
So would you want one council person and one, either Jeff or Veronica, if we get those 2, I think those 2 would be 2 good ones. Does anybody have a strong desire to be a tour guide?
Like I said, we'll go on. Unless somebody else really has a.
And you probably can't, because it'd be during the day.
Not even desire to do it. So.
If they're starting at 3:15, I can do it if we need.
Everyone help give me it.
Okay. We'll figure out who our other people are, then I'll contact a couple of you to see if you can join along. Who, if those 2 cannot do it, who would be your 3rd and 4th people that we would contact, maybe be a tour guide?
Wix, maybe, Mark? No,
Yeah,
chamber
no.
director.
Well, what about, I don't know, I was thinking, you said chamber, and maybe think tourism, Ginger. Maybe, I don't know,
Somebody from that office.
yeah,
Maybe,
Yeah.
Ginger Williams,
yeah,
if Mark's not available, Ginger Williams, marketing director. Be good.
Okay. All right, anything else? If not, we'll continue on with the agenda under miscellaneous correspondence. Anybody? Brad, anything further report? Brittany, anything further on your list?
Sure, September 24th is our next planning session, that Wednesday. And then I did Greg with the forester, he stopped in today, we were out, but, he said he's raised $5,000 for trees. They're looking at planting those October 9th, and they'll be doing 15 trees. It said he won't be using obviously all 5,000 this year, he's hoping to do 5,000 next year. As far as the location of where he's planting, I do not know. This was just a note that.
Did you say where he's getting the money?
He received just in donations.
He didn't say where from. Okay.
Rotary and Lions are two of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just didn't know if
As
that.
I talked to him earlier, and I think he mentioned those two groups were two of the groups. Yes, and I think he got some private donations.
Cause I just, he doesn't have the Lions Club yet, I know that, but they're getting 2,500 from us. So,
And maybe that's. maybe
yeah,
part of it is-
so I was waiting, so it could be more than that, if he's already got 5 in hand, so.
When I talked to him, what he doesn't want to do is plant too many trees, because when the Rotary did it last time. Planting the trees was easy, watering them for 2 years was a pain. I told him, when we used to do it with the JCs, we just say, here's your tree, we'll plant it. Hope it grows and give them instructions, but that's part of the responsibility of the homeowner. He's gonna work with the school. ag group to see if maybe they would do that for a fundraiser type of a thing. They would do that watering for 2 years.
He did say to Lindsay, or she mentioned to me that the homeowners will be doing the watering unless somebody is. Elderly or something like that isn't able to, and then he will line people up to water.
So he did change his,
That's what she had relayed to me today with this
I
note.
mean,
That's good.
that's a long, 2 years is a long time to go water somebody's tree.
Well, especially as many as we'll put in, I mean, it was a nice program.
Yeah, that's why he's talking about, you didn't want to do more than like 15 or 20
Yeah.
where. We had another program where we could get a lot of money and you could do 100 trees. That would be nice. That's not what he's talking about here.
Mhm. And then he said funds left over for more trees for,
Awesome.
but that's all I have.
Okay, and that 24th planning session will be when we're gonna have the nuisance discussion. Again, give me any questions you might have. I think it'd be nice for John and Richard and Hugh to have a heads up of what kind of questions we're gonna get that night, because I think, and Brad.
You got all my emails, so.
I did, thank you.
So there'll be some, so they kind of have an idea as far as what do we want at that meeting? 'Cause I think before they thought, we thought we answered all your questions already, but I think this is a chance to kind of give them specifics.
And my plan is to kind of go through our ordinance and explain our process for different types of scenarios. And obviously, if you have any questions tonight that come up, you're welcome to ask those. But if there's anything ahead of time you want to know, it'd be helpful for me to have those before the meeting.
Good.
And we'll probably have a few suggestions for things we could consider doing with our ordinance as well.
Dan, anything to report from your end?
To answer your question, I just sent an email while I was sitting here out to Tim Fox, who probably has those incentives in a file someplace, so I'm guessing he'll get back to me tomorrow, I'll send it out to all of you. On that middle school project, if there's a deadline on incentives. I'm also working on putting together the incentive things, so we can have the committee get to those sometime in October after we get somebody on board, and I'll have something ready and send out to you too, and
Thank you.
to do that, put that, so we can discuss that.
So the middle school project was what question?
Patrick wanted to know if the incentives package that they're using have some sort of a deadline.
The
Tax credits.
historic tax credits. Yeah. Can find that out, please, yeah. I know, if and when that project gets completed, they're already 2 years into their city incentives. Of tax relief, and so those haven't, it's supposed to be for 10 years, but we're already 2 years into it, they haven't started yet, so that'll have to be renegotiated if and when we get to that point. Anybody else with any board, commissioner, committee reports tonight? Not, we have a motion to adjourn.
So.
Second.
In favor, say aye.
Uh,